I am Jack Tremaine, 45, in the process of a divorce. I have 2 adult children, 22 and 20 when all of this happened, and was not a happy camper. I was not expecting what I found when I was cleaning up a knocked trash bag in the laundry room. As it was a Saturday, I wasn't working. I was helping my wife Sharon do the housework because she was not feeling well. I had vacuumed the family room carpet, unloaded the dryer, and was unloading the washer to load the dryer when I knocked over the trash can. After swearing, I started picking up the mess when I discovered a couple of used condoms. I was flabbergasted, upset, and extremely angry. Sharon and I had not used condoms in over 15 years, and then we used them only because she developed a yeast infection. As I had the clip job 18 years ago, Sharon would never need birth control pills again. Our kids had not been to see us for several weeks, so I did not think they could be from one of them. I was not sure what I was going to do, but I knew I was going to do something. First, I was going to leave, at least for a little while. I then went into the bedroom and got a suitcase. I was very careful not to wake Sharon. She really was ill, and as mad as I still loved her. I grabbed all the clothes I would need for a few days. I took the condoms and my wedding ring and placed them on the kitchen table. Then I sat down and wrote Sharon a note explaining what I had found and how hurt I had been. The note said, "Sharon, my love, what you see on the table is what is left of our marriage. I'm sorry I was not enough for you. I did not realize that you felt the need for more than me. I am leaving for a few days to decide what I am going to do. Please do not try to contact me. I will let you know when I am ready to talk to you. Should you choose not to tell the kids and they ask me, I will not hold anything back. The same goes for our parents. I ask one more thing. Please think about how much you have hurt me. I will expect answers, truthful answers, if we are to continue as man and wife. Some of those questions will be hard for you to answer, not because of you not knowing the answers, but because I will insist on the answers even if you do not want to give them. If you do not wish to answer the questions I have when I contact you, just tell me. I will not allow you to continue to cheat on our marriage. If you cannot give up your lover when I contact you, tell me so. I will then remove myself from your life. As this evidence indicates, you have not only defiled our marriage, but also our home. Plan on having to sell this house if we are to get back together. I still love you, but this is a near-fatal hurt to our marriage. Your dear Jack." I loaded my truck up and drove away for what might have been the last time. I had to pull over several times to clear my eyes. I wasn't paying attention and finally realized that I was headed to the cabin that my grandfather left me. I realized that it was a perfect place to go. No phone, no cell service, no internet. Perfect for thinking and making decisions. I turned my cell phone off and kept driving. I stayed at the cabin except for work for about 3 weeks. I had kept my cell phone off and told work that I was not taking any non-business calls. While in town and on my lunch hour, I moved some of the bank accounts around to protect at least half of the money we had saved. Sharon had not worked for a few years, so I was quite sure that if we got divorced, it would cost me. I had a small trust fund that my grandfather had left me besides the cabin, so whatever I had to give to Sharon, those would be protected. I had finally made up my mind and found that enough of the raw emotions were calmed. I drove toward town, and when I got a cell signal, I pulled over and checked my phone. I saw that I had calls from about 10 different people. Besides Sharon, my kids, and, surprisingly, our minister. I saw both parents' numbers and several that I did not know. I called home. When she answered, I asked Sharon if she was ready to answer questions for me. She immediately started sobbing. She said that the police were looking for me as a missing person, and they were questioning her to see if she had harmed me. After she stopped babbling, I asked again if she was ready to answer with the truth, the questions that I was going to ask. She started babbling again, and I finally hung up my phone without receiving the answer to that question. I then called my kids. James, my oldest, wanted to know what I had done that I had to run away. I was shocked. I told him if that was what his mother told him, and he believed it. We were done talking. I then told him what I found and asked if he or his sister had been to the house that week. He said he had not, but he did not know if Anne had or not. He also said that the last time he talked to Anne before the incident, she had broken up with her boyfriend and had not been dating recently. I called Anne next, and she basically had the same response, so it looked like Sharon did not tell them the truth. I was mad all over again. I called the police station and let them know that I had never been missing, but that I had not been in contact with my wife because of some major problems between us. When I explained that my wife knew that I was not missing, they said she had made the missing persons report and they would talk to the prosecutor about a false police report. I then called both sets of parents, and not surprisingly, my parents sided with me and Sharon's parents called me a liar and cussed me out for hurting Sharon. After those calls, I had had enough. I stopped off at my boss's house and handed him my resignation and started back to the cabin. Sharon called before I got out of cell signal range. I pulled over and answered. She had calmed down somewhat and asked when I was coming home. As I was still angry at her for making me the bad guy, I said, "I will come to your love nest when, and only when, you tell everyone the truth. I will not be made the bad guy here. I did not cheat on you. Those were not my condoms, and I will not accept that house as my home any longer." Sharon sniffled a little and then asked, "Where have you been? Why haven't you come home?" "Why, it is not my home anymore. Just get that through your head." I continued, "You do not need to know where I have been because you gave up the need to know when you cheated. I quit work today, so you won't be able to call me there, and where I am going now, you don't need to find me. I won't be back. You should probably file for divorce because you cannot sell the house without my signature, and I won't be paying the mortgage or utilities." I then waited for a response. All I got was a long silence and a dial tone. I then shut down my phone and drove to the cabin. I stopped in the village that the cabin was associated with and ate supper at the local diner. I then continued to the cabin and went to sleep. The next morning, I went back to the village and stopped at the local post office to rent a P.O. box and change my address. While in the village, I saw that our bank had a branch there. I went in and identified myself and informed them that I would be accessing my accounts from their branch. With that taken care of, I called the office of a friend of mine, an attorney, and asked what steps I should take with what I had found. He asked what I had done so far, and when I explained, he said I did the correct things to protect myself. I then had a thought and called a neighbor of ours who was a busybody. I asked her if she had seen any strange cars at our house recently. She told me that there had been a bright red fancy sporty car that had been in the driveway for several hours at a time on many occasions. She said she did not know what kind of car it was, but it had a vanity plate that was God's number 1. I thanked her and asked if she would call and leave a message on my cell if the car showed up again. I figured that she would understand why I was asking, and the story would soon be all over the neighborhood. I then remembered the minister had called. I returned his call and asked what he wanted when he called. He asked why I had abandoned my wife. I laughed and asked about his red Corvette and when he had visited her last. All I heard was a dial tone. I then called Sharon and said she could leave messages on my cell, and I would answer them when I got within the signal range. As a parting shot, I asked, "Is the minister better than me?" I heard a gasp and a sob, and then the call ended abruptly. I called the lawyer back and said that I found circumstantial evidence that our minister was the unknown depositor of the used condoms. I explained what the neighbor had seen and how both the minister and Sharon had acted to my questions. I then told him to file papers for a legal separation, citing adultery as the reason. I also asked that he file divorce papers, citing adultery and naming the minister as co-respondent. I explained that I thought that by filing both, I would be providing a means for Sharon to decide if she wanted to fight the divorce. she could not fight the separation. He said it would be done. I wasn't prepared for the storm that my actions caused, but I wasn't surprised or unhappy either. The busybody neighbor let everyone in the neighborhood know about the red Corvette, and as several of the church deacons lived in the neighborhood, the minister was fired. Sherry turned up pregnant, was arrested for the false police report, and lost the baby. My son tried to take his mother's side, but after I refused all of his calls for over a month, he called on his sister's phone and told me Sharon finally told him the truth. I reminded him that I was still angry, and as an extra jab, I said I was going to get a DNA test from him and Ann and sue his biological father for back child support. He sobbed and hung up. I knew the kids were mine because of the DNA tests the school required. I was just on raw enough nerves that I had to punish him for the hurt of taking sides. I called Ann and told her what I had done and also asked her to have James call me so I could apologize to him. The prosecutor dropped the charges when I asked. Sharon signed the divorce papers and moved out of town. I moved back into the house after getting new beds for all the bedrooms. Ann decided I needed a housekeeper and moved back to watch over me. She never started dating again as she said no one was as good as her daddy, and that was the kind of man she wanted. My old boss called and offered me a job that was a promotion that also allowed me to telecommute. Life is good. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.